live. Of course, we need a minute for people to join in and sign up and all that, or live, because I know like actual live streamers have the what do you call it? Countdowns. So, but yeah. So let me begin. Hey, it's Russ Payton with Ludonarrative Dissidents. This is our April live stream, our monthly live stream for, we're currently almost done with season 3 of Ludonarrative Dissidents, a tabletop RPG review and discussion podcast. I'm here with my co-hosts, James Wallace and Dissident Greg today. So, as it is perfect light jacket weather apparently where Greg is, and it is nice and sunny here, 75 degrees, 24 Celsius, and it is a bit cooler out in London. But yeah, we're here to talk about RPGs. Yeah, so yeah, I hit the heater.
Okay, yeah, Ross, throw the link to join in the private chat, and I'll put it on Blue Sky.
Sure.
Say it's happening. It's all happening right now.
There it is. Yeah, it's on twitch.tv/Ross Payton RPPR. Right. It's also on YouTube, but that's I just put more people follow on Twitch than YouTube, so whatever. It'll be saved on YouTube as well. And we have a chat here. Hello, Brian. And yeah, so we have a bunch of different things to talk about. First off, I do want to talk about yeah. We always have RPGs. There's always RPG stuff to talk about, Greg. I do want to talk about Roguelike, which is a new upcoming RPG that is going on Kickstarter this week. Disclosure, this I did a sponsored actual play for them that'll go up this week on RPPR, but I know this is Peter Petruccia from Imagining Games. They did the Chew RPG and a bunch of other things. And roguelike is like what, the roguelike video game genre. What if we made a tabletop game of that? And so they have this lovely pixel art and taking some of the game design concepts of roguelike video games and translating them to a tabletop role-playing game. There is a quick start guide. Let's see, here it is. And I did play through this, and it is you make a character in a few minutes. It's very rules light, but the idea is when you go through a dungeon, if you die, you don't complete it, you go back again, and the dungeon there's like multiple versions of the same dungeon in the quick start guide, and you don't know which version of the dungeon you'll be going in. And there'll be different encounters in them. Let's see here. Where is the here? So there's like 3 layouts of the dungeon, and so A, B, and C. You always use A in the first attempt. And there are randomized tables, and it's very humorous, where you can have like pool noodles as weapons, or crowbars, or Scouter from like Dragon Ball Z. There's also boss loot, like shotguns and Necronomicon that summons Cat Cthulhu minions.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So it
sounds aggressively cute.
Yes, it is very silly and over the top. And I quite liked it. It's very much about like creating a build. Like if you die in a dungeon, if the party wipes, you lose certain items. You always keep your key items, but it's like a zero prep kind of rules light, dungeon crawling action game. So I thought it was fun. So
are they going to be just constantly selling dungeons for it, so that played one last time, got a new one?
Yeah, I imagine so. I imagine the full game will. The quick start doesn't have like dungeon creation rules, but I imagine there's dungeon generations and creation rules in the full game. So like, I know like one of the you would have to create new dungeons every time, so you're not repeating the same encounters over and over again. So the grinding aspect of it is a little silly, but it's this kind of like Gonzo setting where there's modern day stuff and fantasy stuff in the same area, and lovely pixel art, as I said. So I'll put a link in the chat.
I feel like it's the pixel art that's going to sell this to a fair number of backers. To see it and be like, oh, neat.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm 12 again.
Boss Monster sold the board game Boss Monster, which was pixel art, video game like, sold a bunch of copies. I'm old school. If I can't play an at symbol I'm not interested. Brief. Well, I mean, you say it's based on roguelikes. Rogue was an early 1980. I think it was 1980. Video game that used the ASCII character sets to design dungeons and stuff, and was, I think, released as free code, or at least was very quickly. The code was taken and reworked into Hack and Moria and things like that, and people just added their own stuff to it, including character classes like the Tourist and all the kind of weird weaponry and spells that you were talking about. So it is, in that sense, quite true to the rogue and roguelike genre in its early sense, except it's using pixel art rather than ASCII characters. For those young people, it used to be, because home computers, and indeed even large computers, had very, very little memory, and very little of that was available for video. It was a lot easier to do your game graphics using ASCII characters, to use text characters instead of actual graphics. And it was an artifact of that. And yes, exactly. I actually have a T-shirt with a rogue dungeon on it, and I tell people, say, "What's that?" And I go, "That was Fortnite in 45 years ago." The
very first computer game I ever played as a youth was on a computer so old that there was no monitor. Just a dot matrix printer running endless reams of white and teal striped paper, and it was the original Star
matrix
Trek
or kind of
game.
Daisy wheel type. I think almost.
I think it was a dot matrix.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was the dial-up where you had to stick the phone in the little rubber cuffs.
Wow.
A neighbor's mom had gotten it for work, and we kids were like, "What the hell is this thing?"
So oddly enough, Greg, this reminds me of it. I haven't watched the whole video yet, but on YouTube, somebody has figured out how to run Half-Life on a receipt printer, and he got it to start printing out, like, as he was playing, like a little printout of every frame of the game.
Wait, that's Doom.
Was it
Doom? Yeah. Well, he also did
he did Half-Life as well.
I mean, you start with Doom.
Yeah. The classic question about any piece of computer hardware is, can you run Doom on it? And I think I mentioned
there's Half-Life.
The classic example, somebody got Doom to run on a digital pregnancy test, which is just a disposable, not one that you're meant to reuse, one you're meant to buy and use once and throw away. It'll run. It has enough computing power to run Doom. Just boggling.
Yeah. So people are always finding new and interesting ways to play video games. So
I mean, So James, when you were talking about, if I can't play as the @ symbol, what immediately appeared in my mind was like, all the art is the ASCII symbols, but they're like beautifully painted and like 3D realistic.
Yeah.
Have you seen the artist who did a set of letters that looked like hairy human flesh in photorealism?
No.
Yeah. It was something. It was.
So you could. The thing is, James, you actually could be an @ symbol in this game. You could your look and concept is entirely like cosmetic. So like you can just determine you don't have to be a human or an elf or whatever. You could say you're a treasure hunter, or you just be like, I'm an @ symbol in a 3D realm. So
fantastic. I'm in.
Yeah.
The other thing that occurred to me, if you go back to the image right at the top of the Kickstarter, which you had for a moment, or down, yes, that one, that very one. What it reminds me of, that screen with the 4 colors there, is not. I mean, I don't know if that's a reference to the D&D Basic Expert Companion deity level, whatever box sets, but what it reminds me of is the video game Gauntlet.
Oh,
the game was early 80s, which was, and again,
fighter needs food badly.
It was a 4-player simultaneous game with 4 joysticks or 4 player stations built into this thing, everyone playing on the same monitor. And it was a roguelike. The red character was the barbarian, blue was the Valkyrie, green was the elf, and yellow was the wizard, as I recall. And then there was Gauntlet 2, and you could have 4 wizards at the same time. And what madness is this? And it's still a brilliantly fun game. There was an implementation for the Sega Mega Drive, the Sega Genesis, that was arcade perfect. There we go. 4 of your mates clustered around this, just ramming money into the slot, because if you put money in, your health went up. It was so much fun. And there were 2 or 3 of these. There was a science fiction one as well, which was a side scroller, and there were a few others.
I remember. I played Gauntlet as well. Like it was ported to many systems, including Nintendo. And
I only ever saw Gauntlet in the arcade, and I never had 3 friends with me at when I was around the console. Sorry,
that was because it was
a sad life in Iowa. What can I say?
What is this?
Yeah, because you could damage each other. Often you would claim it was by accident. You could shoot the food, which would destroy the food and meant no one could eat it, so no one got any health back. And it was a race for treasure, and it was and killing bad guys, really fun. And if you hung around too long, then death would appear, and just killed you. You just drained your health like nothing else. Lovely. It's a very simple hack and slash dungeon dynamics, but surprisingly tactical.
Yeah. Obviously engineered as a quarter eater, so like as many of these arcade games. You can get emulators now, MAM, multi arcade something emulator, and basically if you can find these ROMs, the software for these games, you can load it up and play it and have unlimited quarters, so you could see the end of Gauntlet. Well, I think Gauntlet was literally designed to be infinite, like it just kept generating levels, very procedural.
Right.
So yeah,
the point
there was a maximum
the quarters out of you.
There were a maximum number of
levels?
levels?
There was a maximum number of preset levels. I think there were like 50 levels, and they just kind of rotated. The first 8 were always preset, but you could find teleports that would take you straight to level 8 or level 9, which was the first of the you don't know which level you're going to end up on. But great stuff. I remember seeing a Gauntlet machine. The only time I ever did the Labyrinth LARP, which was one of the British Boffer LARPs, but it was in Chislehurst Caves, which is a system of natural caves south of London, chalk caves. And there was this LARP, set up there. I think it may still be there. But in the reception area, they had a Gauntlet machine, and it was just eating people's money constantly. There was constantly a crowd around it.
What I pictured is, you're in garb, and you are in the chalk tunnels, and you're in, and then you just round a corner, and there's a freaking Gauntlet machine staring at you, and everyone's like, "All right, hold on, how many quarters you got?" And they're like, "Oh, that's why the treasure in the previous encounter was all quarters. We got to go back and complete that, man."
That would I mean, this was the mid late 80s. I think that concept is altogether far too meta for the 80s, but it's a good one.
Yeah. Apparently, this Labyrinth LARP still has a website up, and at some photos.
Chislehurst Caves, absolutely bonkers setting. Absolutely.
It looks perfect for it.
It's a dungeon. It's literally the setting that you have read about, and you go, "What's this going to be like?" It's like being in a dungeon. Very, very cool.
I'm just scanning. Yeah. It looks perfect.
That is some 90s looking.
Well, this is
text.
the PDF.
Yeah, the PDF. I mean, that's like 90s layout sensibilities, 90s use of art.
Single column.
Oh, some
loads of tables.
Art. Yep.
Yeah.
Classic Boffer LARP design. It looks like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fireball, lightning bolt.
See if there's a copyright notice that says what year.
Oh man, this is a 64-page PDF. It was, 2024. Yeah.
That can't be the original.
Some things never change.
Some things never change. Yeah.
It'll be updated.
Yeah, shoestring budget. They do not have time or interest in paying a graphic designer to do this. So yeah. And this is Greg's link. The human flesh letters. Yeah. Cool and normal. Just what we expect from you, Greg. Yeah.
I don't care what you think, because he's a little cute.
Yeah.
There. Needs to get his shit together. But...
So yeah, that's a game that I played recently, roguelike, and I had fun. There's an actual play that'll be coming up on RPPR. Actual play this week as early access, and then publicly next week after that. I want to mention that, but James, you brought up before the thing that there was a bit of gaming news.
Yes,
the industry. Yeah,
we've talked.
Yes.
Well,
yeah.
It's an obit. We've talked in previous episodes, and I think on the live stream about Luzoki. The great Luzoki.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the pioneers of the form, war game designer, the first specialist games distribution service. I hadn't remembered that. But a constant presence at shows in the 90s and 2000s. And before that, with his stand, he published one of the first books on game design. It was war game design, but still the principle remains. And the thing he'll be remembered for is Game Science, the company that produced the best dice in the 80s. And he was absolutely purist about this. Mm-hmm. And his thing was, if you took 16 Game Science dice and you stacked them up in 2 columns of 8, the 2 columns would be exactly the same size. But if you took any other company's dice and did the same thing, the columns would be unbalanced because their dice were not precise. They were rock tumbled to soften the edges. They were not perfectly molded. And I'm going to be writing about this in the next issue of Weird Science, where I have a column and talking about boutique dice and the modern prevalence of, beautifully cast collectible dice, and are they properly random, and would Luzoki approve? And I have to feel he'd be happy that there's so many people owning so many dice, but he would want them to be. I was going to dig out. I don't know where it's gone. I still have the very first dice I bought in the early 80s when I started D&D were Luzoki Game Science dice, and I know I still have them here, and I know they are still good. And if you give me a moment or two, I will dig them out. But keep talking without me.
Y'all want to see a piece of dice history? Let me get in the bag. I have one of the old-fashioned D20s, which is doubled as a D10.
That's a Zoki. That you can tell from the edges and the numbers on it. That is a Zoki dice.
And it is numbered 0 to 9 twice, and you were supposed to take your own ballpoint pen and fill in the half of the numbers, so that if it's filled in, the filled in 0 is actually a 20. One of those things that makes perfect sense to me, and a normal person would be completely baffled. They're like, wait, no, why is one of these zeros a 10 and one of these zeros is a 20, and none of these zeros are zeros unless you're using it in some different context? Aww. Why do you have context-sensitive dice, man?
No, I have a Luzoki die that I got like maybe 10 years ago. I have the other D10 here from I bought it from him at Gen Con at the Game Science booth, maybe 8-10 years ago, something like that. So I have a couple of Luzoki stories too. Well, one, I went to his
James, we can hear we can hear the rattle.
I have a lot of dice. I've been gaming a while.
I'm just going to lower your mic a little bit there, James. Yeah.
I'll mute it. I will hold up the containing ones to the. I've lost my mouse cursor now.
So the first things I went to Luzoki's, he did seminars. He did seminars at Gen Con for I don't know how long, but I went to one of them, and the year after, I had a friend Noah who does his own podcast, Thinking Too Hard About Anime, to go there because I had something scheduled. I was like, can you go and record this? Because I would just go to random Gen Con panels and record them because they didn't care. And so I have this as a thing you can download and listen to, and it's just this amazing stream of consciousness, whatever interesting stories about the game industry, talking about why his whole theory about dice and like how to roll how to make dice that are random and not
and it's from 2016.
2016. So
the last time I had a good night's sleep.
Aww. So a history of dice making for RPGs and non-standard dice with Luzaki is pretty fascinating in its own right. I didn't expect an hour of an old guy rambling about weird dice to be so entertaining, so I recommend listening to this. It's on the RPPR, but also my friend Caleb Stokes. Years ago, we were both at Gen Con. He was at Gen Con and he was going from the convention center to his hotel, and Luzaki was there, and he and going the same way, and unprompted, Luzaki just started talking about how he thought his business partner was cheating him, and so if he found out and he could get proof, he was going to burn the warehouse down. And he was just telling this to Caleb, unprompted. Caleb, I think, may have said hi or whatever, but just no filter on him. He was just like, "Yeah, I think he's cheating. I'm going to burn the warehouse down if I find out. That's what I think he's doing." Just like one of these, old legends, just flew by his own, just lived by his own code, didn't give a shit anymore. Yeah.
Piloted completely by instruments there, Lou.
Yeah, no, and he was also one of the guys that helped get like that, back in the 2010s, there was a booth that was selling a lot of like World War II German art, like Nazi shit, and
I remember this.
Yeah, and like
Lou's like, no, he was one of the fuck no dudes.
Yeah, he was one of the people who was like, no, we're not gonna have this at Gen Con, and thank God he did. So but yeah, he just like, even going there in the 2010s and seeing this booth with all the stuff from like the 80s, pulled out of some storage unit and brought to Gen Con yet again. It was just fascinating. And so I'm glad I got to see the tail end of that.
Right.
Yeah. So
I've mentioned before the legendary tiny small press RPG Creeks and Crawdads, the post-apocalypse game in which you play a crayfish. I got my copy from Luzaki in the early 90s.
Wait, you know what? Go and talk it. I'm gonna go. I think I know where my Luzaki pamphlet is. Let me go find it. So
wow, this is my original. Like you say, Greg, this is numbered 0 to 9 twice. It's a gem dice. On one of the sides, I can't quite see it. There is a tiny little G in a circle, the Game Science logo. I bought this in 1982. Look at I don't know if the camera's focusing. Look how sharp those edges are. Those are still, they're not quite as sharp as the day I bought them. But man, compared to a dice I have barely used that came out of one of the TSR box set, it's just sat in that big jar. Look what a piece of crap that is. Look how damaged that is from sitting in a jar. You can see the impacts on the corners. For 30 years, longer, 40 years probably. Zoki, absolute quality. I've got a couple others. That's a Zokihedron.
The Zokihedron.
I bought this when it came out. It says Zokihedron on it. It's a 100-sided dice. He patented that. That was his. That I think is his 20. That's his 24-sided dice.
Named after them: Luzaki, Tippy Hendren, and whoever Large is. And Polly,
of course. This is not in his legendary hard plastic. He did these kind of as an experiment. This was a 16-sider, and it's kind of beautiful. And there are some little sides on there that don't quite work, but it's just a gorgeous thing. He loved dice. He loved the potential of dice. This is another Zokihedron. That's not Zokihedron. That's another icosahedron 20-sider, 0 to 9. In the kind of, there's a lot of these around in the buff plastic. And this is my original D8. And then a couple of years later, the revelation, and I think this was Zoki again, a D10 that has 10 sides. And man, this has had a lot of use. And again, the edges are absolutely sharp. And I would rely on this to be 100% random, genuinely random, which I would not do for a clear acrylic dice that has a plastic duck in it. Which you can buy today, and they're lovely. But yeah, and the column I'm doing for Weird Science is going to be basically about, does randomness really matter? Do we require dice to be truly random? I mentioned Weird Science a couple of times. I don't have the latest issue because it's in my backpack because I'm reading it on the tube. Weird Science is a British magazine about role play. It cutting edge role play, nostalgia for role play. This is an older one. It's great. It's absolutely great. Are there role-playing magazines in the States at the moment? Because if there are, they're not really getting over here. But we've got Weird Science, we've got Secret Passages, which is kind of retro RPG stuff. There's Senate, which is typically board games rather than role play, but again, incredibly beautiful. I mean, look at that! Look at the art! Look at the layout on these. This is really lovely stuff. This is John Power, who produces this, puts his heart and soul into this stuff. It's really, there's a feeling that it's at the cutting edge, but at the same time, I'll hold it back up again.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm in this one. Cutting edge of role play stuff, but at the same time, the glory days of role playing that you remember when a magazine was a treasure trove of new things that you hadn't heard about and insights into things that you had. Yes, that's the cover of the latest, and it's gorgeous. It really pops. Absolutely worth it. Mushroom Horror.
That's what all the cool kids are writing now.
Really worth investigating. If only you pick up a couple of PDFs of it, have a look. But the print thing is gorgeous. I'm hugely biased. I was a professional magazine guy for a long time, but for a long time I stopped buying magazines because I felt they were kind of on their way out. And Weird Science has really revitalized my my passion for it, and I'm proud to be writing for them. I have a column now. And I have a review in the latest one. You may remember a couple of months ago, I brandished the Dummy's Guide to RPG Design. I reviewed that for them, and yes, it's.
Why would you review something you hate? Why would you put ink on that?
Well, it's because they asked me to, and they pay me, and
okay.
And also I start off going snide reviews, the slam, it's an easy thing to do, making jokes at another creator's expense. I'm a man of a certain age, it's a young person's game. Then I read the book and it's like, okay, I'm gonna plunge daggers into this thing for 600 words.
I not to freak out anybody listening, but it's like, okay, generally, shooting a dog is bad. But if it's rabid and trying to bite you, then shooting a dog is good. And most dogs aren't rabid and won't try to bite you.
Mm-hmm.
But, and this I think that's kind of the rubric I apply to the really sarcastic hit piece review. Like the fatal one on RPG.net. I'm like, no, it was an egregious offender. It needed that.
Yeah, that's fair. So in terms of gaming magazines, I do know Shattered Arc. They have their own magazine called Cursed Scroll, and I've got to I picked up the latest couple issues at my local game store. I want to say Rascal News has done some kind of print thing, but I'd have to check. I know I think they had a Kickstarter for like a print publication, but that was more like an anthology of essays or something like that. And I want to say I saw some like American war game magazine, but I might be hallucinating. I'd have to. It's been a while. But speaking of zines, though, I did find How to Roll Winning Numbers by Lou Zaki, which I picked up for $2 at Gen Con years ago. $2. And there's the image of all the things.
Oh, man.
You got to be
careful before you just splay out the centerfold like that, right?
Yeah. This is like the manifesto of like someone sabotaging industrial equipment or something like that. Like, this is like, look at this. This is not but untouched since the 80s, just reprinted over and over again. But there is a little thing at the very end where he had a stamp and says, more than 70,000 gamers have gone to youtube.com and entered in Lou Zaki to learn more about better dice. It's 5-star rated. So he's just stayed up. He stayed up with the times all the way to the end, it's
keeping up with what the kids like.
Yeah, exactly. It was great.
The true original. We will not see his like again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Has anyone, now that he's gone, said, "Oh yeah, Luzaki was a son of a bitch, and I hated him, and here's why." Because you always You always hear about it when your idol has feet of clay, right?
Mhm.
We all remember where we were when we found out about Neil Gaiman. And I feel like it's important to recognize the people who succeeded without being rotten or exploiting other people, or, you know, it's like, oh, because of my position, I can get away with anything. Ha ha ha. Because it feels like everything I've heard from everybody is what Luzaki wanted to get away with was making the best damn dice for a reasonable price.
Well, if he burned down that warehouse, he got away with it. No one's connecting him to it. So, like, good for him, you know.
Yeah.
Arson lost its Mozart to dice design.
Allegedly, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I have not. He's not a broken stare. He's not. No, I have not heard any bad stories about him since his passing, or at all. Really, he's just like, the only thing is that, like, he'll talk, like, the worst anything ever says, like, yeah, he just talk your ear off. He just, like, you go to the booth and you're gonna get stories from you know, the glory days.
To me, that's like, don't put a dime in the jukebox if you don't want to hear music.
Yeah, exactly, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember, like,
I'll tell you.
I
was going to say, I thought of a even more game relevant example of, oh yeah, after he died, you found out some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's M.A.R. Barker, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh Jesus, yeah. Still gutted about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for those who don't know, M.A.R. Barker, creator of Emperor of the Battle Throne, one of the very early deep culture role-playing games, professor at the University of, I want to say, Minneapolis. Was discovered after he died to be on the editorial board of a historical revisionist journal that include Holocaust revisionist material, and had written essentially a Nazi science fiction novel under a pen name. It's one where you have to separate the art from the artist. His innovations in role-play design are still laudable. He could turn a phrase. Clearly he was a son of a bitch.
Yeah.
You hate to see it.
Yeah. But to go back to your point,
it always makes you a little paranoid about even the people you've known for a the people you've known at conventions, right? You see him 2 or 3 times a year, and it's like, he's a great guy, and you don't know what he's like when he's not at Origins or Gen Con. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to square that circle of, there are people out there who are tremendously talented and rotten.
Yeah.
And
I think what we have discovered actually is that conventions, for some of the more rotten, in a particular vein of rotten, it's a hunting ground for them. There are stories of abuse that come out of conventions, and thank God, not just games conventions. I mean, it's games conventions are lower down the scale. I think it happens a lot at anime conventions and media conventions in particular. People with an ounce of fame taking advantage of that. Asimov, yeah. I mean, was known within the community to, I mean, we knew he was a lecher. He wrote books admitting it, but, you know, would basically physically grope women on stage during awards events, and people would refuse to appear with, and go like, why? He's one of the great men of the industry. Yeah. And others as well.
Yeah, that's where the term broken stare comes from.
He's not a great man. He's a great writer.
Yeah.
Yes.
But like because the analogy is, you know, if you're not familiar with the term, is like, you live in a house and there's a staircase and there's a broken stair on it. You know it, so you just like can deal with it. But like, and so Asimov was a broken stair, so people who knew it was like, oh, we can't leave him alone with a woman. But like, and so they kind of like ignore it and just deal with it. But like, someone, if it's a new house, you don't know, you think all the stairs should be fine, because why wouldn't they? And then you fall, you step on the broken stair and hurt yourself. and that's how these people come to be, or they oh well, that's just Asimov, he's just like that, and we just have to deal with it, and because it's just easier, water rolls downhill, right? Less effort, path of least resistance, and all that. So, but that's changing. I mean, that there has been a conversation for
well, and part of that,
for decades.
we would like to collectively say, well, we've gotten better, we've gotten, we're more open to listening to victims and that. And I'm like, are we, or is it that the communication technology is just better, and that someone who's been victimized can say it a lot louder than they used to be able to, without having to go through like the letters column in a science fiction magazine where the editor is going to be, oh man, can you believe what this crazy dame said about Isaac Asimov? Into the round file with this.
Yep. So, but anyway, so
did I bring it down?
it's fine.
I'm sorry, everybody.
It's an important conversation
to have.
Kind
of a weird mood.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm sorry, Craig.
Yeah, it was packed. She was clearly deeply beloved in the community. So, died at the age of 79. And what got me, as we're filing out of the church after the service, it's like, why does that song they're playing sound familiar? And it was the theme to the Golden Girls.
Thank you for being a friend. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah.
I'm like,
for being my friend.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was.
Oddly enough, I did.
Who's saying?
Yeah.
What did "It Was Manslaughter, Not Murder"? What was that about?
I'm not sure, actually. So yeah, in the comments, Max, if you want to elaborate on that. But in other RPG sort of topic, oddly enough, I've recently finished watching Pluribus, and the Golden Girls is kind of a sub theme in that show, where the main character likes watching Golden Girls. But... Yeah, it's a very good show. I don't want to spoil anything, but it would be interesting. It would be good as a solo journaling kind of, or some kind of solo game, because it's obviously one person versus many, dealing with many people, and but I've been working. I've had this idle thought, and I started outlining this idea for a TTRPG. I haven't gotten very far in it, but I want to do like a sci-fi RPG set in this colony world where there's been this long war that's been going on for years, and it's on the periphery. They get some super high-tech stuff and some lower generation stuff, and basically it's a metaphor for the war in Ukraine. And the idea is the player characters are trying to find pieces of this super piece of technology that will help them in the war or escape or something like that. And so mechanically, I want a game about drone warfare where the average combat encounter is done from like distances of like 20 kilometers. And so like the idea being that detecting your enemy and hitting them before they hit you, or evading the enemy or fooling the enemy, is way more important than surviving a hit, because once
you get hit, you're dead.
Or probably. Yeah.
This is a thought I've had in fantasy gaming, is how do you make dodging cool? Because if you look at the classic fight in the dojo fight in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, I'm like, all they're doing is dodging, and it looks amazing. They look so cool. The other thing that I was thinking about with, a drone warfare game, what might fold into the mechanics interestingly, is like lag. That, when your drones are, right on top of you, there's no lag. But when they're out there, when they're 20 miles away, there's a little tiny gap between, the camera, the processing, the radio back, the de-encryption, that all that sort of stacks up, and that this gives you sort of a scalability of range, and that, it's in some ways very advantageous to fight close, but in other, probably more important ways, it's very disadvantageous when the enemy gets real close.
Yeah.
So it could be sort of an auto-balancing thing.
Yeah, I think one of the things would be like your main stats would be like your visibility, but not like literal visibility, not just literal visibility, but like your literal visibility, your thermal signature, your signal, like how much radio signal you're emitting. Also be like a sci-fi thing, so like radiation. And so like the more you want to do, the more you generate in these things, and thus the easier you are to detect. And then like you could be like a mecha RPG where your loadout is like you can go on foot, you could have a little robot donkey to carry your stuff, you could be in a vehicle, and you can carry more stuff if you have a vehicle like a truck or whatever. But like a truck's way easier to detect than like a person on foot. And so you choose this inventory size versus like your stealth. And one of the problems I'm finding is that this is such the Ukraine war is the war in Ukraine is so rapidly changing that there's no books or like even good like YouTube videos that like this is the basic principles of drone warfare.
Sure.
It's changing every few months, the meta, I guess, if you want to call it, of like how they, that used to be like fiber optic cables for your drone, so you don't have to worry about signal loss. But now they're like, well, let's make the drones partially autonomous. If we lose signal, they'll use AI to pick a target and blow it up, and that kind of thing.
Don't like that.
Yeah,
I read Wired for War to. You spoke the magic word and Callum appeared.
Yeah. Inventory, yes. The magic of inventorying. So that's like it's an idle idea, but like how do you make a game where like also like how do you have a fight where you don't know where the first thing is, do you know if there's an enemy that's looking for you? Do you know if there's an enemy like 10 kilometers away or whatever, way out of line of sight? And then like how do you
Ross,
or do they or do they start looking for you first and like that kind of thing? So yeah,
my worst thought on this, or maybe first thought perfect brilliant ray of insight. When was the last time you read Meatbot Massacre?
A long time ago, like right after
it was a long time ago. Yeah. Because the idea there that I have 4 dice I can roll, but there's a semiotic to it. So if I roll 4 d10s, that means I'm attacking 4 times. If I roll, 2 d10s, a d6, and a d4, it means I'm attacking twice, I'm moving, and I'm taking evasive action. And that might be something to consider. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
also, look, you could also look at what I ripped all that off from, or I'm sorry, what I was inspired by, which was Button Men.
Button Men I'm not familiar with.
James Ernest's really smart piece of design. Did not take off the way it should have done.
Would you say masterpiece?
I'm not sure the game itself is a masterpiece, but the concept behind it is a masterpiece. The idea of this...
It was perfect for its time.
Yeah.
Okay.
A brilliant little piece of design, and
I love it. I admire it a lot. That was, I wrote an article about it for someone's like, tell me about your favorite non-you game, and they got like 100 game designers to talk about their favorite game they didn't write. And
that's the Jim Lauder books.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm in them. Was that the first one, the Hobby Games, the 100 Best?
Yep.
Or because they did 2. There was Hobby Games, the 100 Best, and Family Games, the 100 Best. And I'm in Hobby Games, the 100 Best.
For some reason, nobody wanted my input on Family Games.
Yeah. So, yeah.
What was that? Good, yeah. What was that Finnish card game about overdosing? About prostitutes having drug overdoses? Oh yeah, I got a copy of that.
Yeah,
you got to pick a lane, is what it is.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Those are both very good ideas. I'll reread the Meatbot because I realized, the more I thought about it, the more this is like a different type of mech game. You're instead of being one robot, you have your gear. One thing I did as I started reading some people who actually fight in Ukraine, and they talked about like, yeah, you live in your apartment, and then you go out into your dirt submarine and spend 3 weeks there. Yeah, that's what they called it, like these covered trenches.
Dirt submarine.
Yeah, you're just like in a little apartment, dug into the earth, and you're hanging out there for 3 weeks running drones. And yeah, it's a weird, but then it's the first remote office war, because
okay, I don't want to. I was just talking about staying in your lane, but I'm going to get out of mine and into political analysis.
Mm-hmm.
Does war still work? I'm looking at the Ukraine war, and I'm like, okay, if you were a betting man, you would have, when it started, you would have said, yeah, no, Putin's not crazy claiming they're going to be home by Christmas. And now they've got their very own, their own private Vietnam War. Iran, it's like, oh yeah, okay. And part of it is that everyone running the US side of the Iran war is drunk and probably railing ketamine, and also selected for loyalty over anything.
Mm-hmm.
But
sobriety.
It has come to such a, it seems like such an extreme case of, oh no, the gang that can't shoot straight. And I'm like, when was the last time in the 21st century that some major power said, all right, I'm going to pursue my policy interests by other means, and I'm going to take an armed force and invade my neighbor and seize his resources and force him to become my chattel colony? When was the last time that worked? I mean, Georgia, I guess, but there you had a huge chunk of the population saying, yes, invade me, Putin, I'm into it.
I mean, there are a lot of border wars that we don't really see a lot in Western media. I know, like back in I think the late 70s, early 80s, China and Vietnam fought a war. India and China fought over a glacier for a long time, which is actually really interesting because they signed a treaty to prohibit guns and explosives on there. So you literally have Chinese and Indian soldiers fighting with melee weapons. This is let me see if I can find it. There's China, India.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I jump in for a moment here and kind of divert things back to gaming?
Sure.
Because
I'll allow it.
I'm going to assume that most of our listeners assume that Ukraine is pretty much in the right, or want to at least support the Ukrainians in their cause. And I've spoken before over the last few months that there's a vibrant Ukrainian role-playing game community. They're having a convention. It's online. They want you to take part. It's called Roleplay Ukraine. It runs 1st to 3rd May. Ross, I just sent you a link.
Let me pull it up.
Oh wow.
And it's all happening on Discord. You can pledge support. You can pledge monetary support through PayPal. There are PayPal links, or other things for mostly going to hospitals rather than to buy weaponry. But if you've thought about the situation in Ukraine and thought, I wish there was something I could do to help, you can help, and you can help by playing games and actually talk. There's a good chance your GM will be Ukrainian. They may even be involved in the combat. Probably not while you're playing, but who knows? And it sounds like a fantastic thing. And the games certainly that I've seen coming out of Ukraine are really strong, really inventive, really imaginative. We want this war over, if only so we get some of their games into proper distribution and properly out there. So, that's my little bit there.
Nice.
That
looks very
wrap
good.
Up by I was going to say, I could talk about the game I just finished, which you guys contributed to inspiring.
Please.
I've talked on the podcast about Thomas Jefferson's Speedway Hell. But I don't know if those episodes have been released yet. And it literally did start with Ludonarrative Dissidents, and the first sort of phase of getting it in was Lancer, right? And really the very, very clean Lancer break between, okay, we have very specific procedures for mech combat, and then everything else is just, we've got a bucket, and you can use the bucket. So I liked that. I'm like, okay, because it gives the game a very solid identity. And then I think it was during Swords of the Serpentine.
Think it's the Tynes effect. Tyne.
The Swords of the Serpentines effect is that
that's my high school ska band.
We were talking about chase scenes and how nobody's really done a great chase scene game. No one's really cracked that code and made that central. And I've tried to put it in a number of things. I've got elaborate chase rules in Rain. I put it in Feng Shui. And because action movies constantly have this stuff going on. And I'm like, okay, so what is an interesting setting where people would constantly be having races and like a Catch Me If You Can type? I would say more Fast and Furious. And in, some kind of fever dream, what I came up with is that people who are in hell can engage in these huge surreal races through the inferno. And if you win, you receive a single moment of respite from your torture. And you have this moment of grace in the midst of the awfulness. And that if you amass enough of these, if you win 10 races without losing any of your respite, then you can choose to either reincarnate or embrace oblivion and remove the stain of yourself from the cosmos forever. And that's the basic idea of Thomas Jefferson's Speedway Hell. And I came up with, an assortment of playable characters. You've got Thomas Jefferson, you've got Genghis Khan, Adele Marie Blood is in there, Bonnie Parker, Agrippina the Younger. I started doing a little more deep dive into Agrippina the Younger. That is a wild ride. It's like, okay, if you married her, you may have had like a 33% chance of not getting murdered by her. It's like, oh yeah, she taught her son Nero everything she learned from her brother Caligula. It's
Dante's Wacky Racers. I love it. Yeah.
It's Dante's Wacky Racers. Or who was the guy who drew cartoons? You remember those?
Oh, I can picture them. I'm not Savage Pencil. What the fuck? Yes. The really insane, hyper.
Oh, the like 1950s Roadsters ones.
With the rats driving them and stuff. Yeah.
When you Google it, all that comes up is Pixar.
Oh yeah. Let's see here. I know the style of art you're talking about, but yeah, it's very exaggerated, like really drooly, kind of like mutants with giant bug eyes. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Tip of my tongue. Ed Roth.
Ed Roth. All right.
Is it Ed Roth?
I think it was Ed Roth.
Let's see. Oh yeah. Let me.
That's the one. Big Daddy Roth. That's
Big Daddy Roth. Yeah.
Yes. So yes, also an inspiration, even though not a. Yeah, I never sought out cartoons, but they were just, in the 70s and 80s, if you were a child, they were just in the air, you just saw them in passing.
Mm-hmm.
Just these crazy stuff. Crazy.
Yep. That's something I haven't seen in a while, but Yep, it's a very popular. I think. I mean, I don't know how popular it is now. I know like car racing and everything is still popular, but I don't know if that style of is popular with the car guys anymore. But yeah, I love it. We should play test it at some point.
Well, I was going to suggest it to our PPR when I have dicked around with it just a little bit more.
Great.
But yeah, I would love to, because right now it's in a pretty raw state. I've run the race mechanics like exactly one time, but they worked great. In that they survived a horrific outlier result, because it's got exploding dice, right? So in the first game, some guy got up to got a lead of 40 points right off the bat by just explode, just, and then lost the whole thing. Because I like to think it's balanced, but I'm going to have to run it a bunch of times to find out.
Yeah, that's the trick. It reminds me like in Savage Worlds of like running the campaign in it. Like everyone was kind of just waiting for somebody's dice to explode and one shot the bad guy or whatever. Especially towards the end of the campaign, was throwing tougher enemies at them. But yeah, that's sort of the perennial problem with exploding dice mechanics. If they're not capped,
I can tell you how I solved it if you like.
Sure, please.
All right. So the way that it's solved is that dice only explode in some gears. In first gear, you roll a d4 to see how much progress you make, and 1s and 4s explode. So you can really blow off the line, but eventually you're going to hit that 2 or 3. And, it's like, okay, so, if you get 16 points right off the jump, groovy. That's really nice. But by the time you're up to top gear, which is a d20, and it's like, oh yeah, you gain as much as you roll, unless you roll a 1 through 5 when you gain nothing. But once you're there and are rolling the big rock, boom. The other die that explodes is third gear, and the deal with third gear doesn't even explode. It's just you can roll it as many times as you want, but you have to explode on a 10, and if you ever roll a 1, you crash.
That makes sense.
And crashing isn't great.
Yeah.
And so there is also terrain where it's like, oh yeah, in this terrain, if you get above a certain point, you just crash, or you have to gear down or damage your vehicle. So gearing is the key strategy of the racing part, and rolling well, because it's super swingy.
Yeah.
Crashing isn't great.
Yeah, crashing is great. Have you, speaking of gear mechanics in a tabletop game, have you played Gaslands? Have you heard of this?
No.
Gaslands is a tabletop skirmish game that use cars. It's a like Mad Max style racing game.
It's very
like Car Wars.
Like Car Wars, but use Matchbox. You can use Matchbox cars or whatever.
Nice.
And the I've played it a couple times, and the great thing about it is you do every turn. You can go up 1 or 2 gears or whatever, depending on your car type. And then you see those little yellow things next to the book. Those are the movement templates, and you only have certain ones available to you based on what gear you're in. You can only use the certain ones in certain gears. But it's a very positional game, right? Because you actually have your miniatures, and it's based on movement and stuff like that. And there's dice rolling, because you can always flip, and if you push it too hard one way or the others, but like you have to move a certain amount of distance based on your gear. You cannot like stop on a dime, right? Because you're object in motion. You got momentum and all that other stuff, but it might be something to look at as well if you want. I mean, obviously it's a very different type of game since
it's written down.
Can
I leave the keyboard for a second? Sorry,
we have about 2 minutes to go. Well,
we're about 2 minutes left, but I gotta go.
Okay.
Hold on. Cover for me, guys.
Anyway, again, car chases is one of those things that haven't really been covered very. I mean, there are tons of games that have them, but like, there's never like that's the car chase RPG. You know?
Yeah, exactly. You never go, oh great, a car chase. This is going to be so good. It's always going to okay, and there's a chase. And yeah, I mean the original Star Wars, the original D6 West End game Star Wars had some pretty clever mechanics for starship chases, the kind of starship dogfighting, and it was basically one of you is in front, one of you is behind, and there's a way of swapping that over. And it was simple stuff. It wasn't in any way simulationist. It was very narrativist. And obviously that was a long time ago. And I remember thinking that and thinking, yeah, that'd be fun, but you wouldn't make it the feature of a thing. It would just be, there's this bit in a fight. It's a way of handling a situation rather than making it the feature.
Yeah. I mean, I remember the James Bond RPG's car chase.
Yes.
It seemed to serve the job, but yeah, it wasn't like, ooh, because like cinematic combat, you think games like Feng Shui and now more recently Outgun, and like, oh yeah, it does really well at that. And there are games that tactical combat, Lancer, if you want that super crunchy grid-based stuff, boy, Lancer is your game. But like, yeah, there's not really something for car chases, and so if Greg can nail this, man, that'd be great, because then you could create a system for it and like license it out and that kind of thing. So yeah,
that would be amazing. I'm not sure Thomas Jefferson's Hell, whatever it's Hell Racing.
It's gonna kill
necessarily.
Yeah,
I'm not sure that's going to be the commercial smash hit that it. I mean, clearly that it deserves to be, but yeah. He's back.
Yeah,
I'm back. Sorry about
and
that.
That's all we've got time for.
So before we go, I'd like
the one secret of game design. The one thing you need to be a great, super successful.
Well, you
game
know what
designer.
the mainstream media won't tell you.
Look, we have that's gonna be the new InfoWars once the Onion fills is over.
Yeah, I was about to say we've just been bought by the Onion. I wish.
In Ludonarrative news, episode 24, Swords of the Serpentine is almost done editing. I should get it done Monday or Tuesday. Then James will write the show notes. Then our next episode, Greg's choice for last game, will be edited in May, and then I'll work on the zine and get the zine out. And then we have our Swords of the Serpentine actual play. And so that hopefully I'll be able to get most or all that done in May, and then in early June we'll record our last actual play, and then we'll be done with the season, and then we'll start planning season 4.
Yes, last actual play. This is the Quiet Year. We've said before it's going to be the Quiet Year. It's taken a little while to come together, but it looks like we're going to have not one but 2 special guests in it. Not going to say who they are because many a slip twixt cup and lip, but it's looking really. I'm really excited.
Should be quite fun. So yeah, and I'd like to do some sort of game where it's all about the vehicles going from dangerous town to dangerous town, having to balance what threats can be handled by where. Yeah, that's another very popular concept in fiction, but not really done in. There's so many things that are iconic types of stories, that procedurals and whatnot, that are done in fiction, but not in RPGs. Yeah.
Road portion wearing down the car, town wearing down the characters, but building back the car. It's a little bit like that in TJ's Speedway, where the adventures you do before the big race, you can amass objects or things that are basically, the mechanic is, you get a cool chip. You can spend a cool chip during the race to either re-roll your roll or force someone else to re-roll their roll.
There are a couple RPGs that are about like being a trucker. I mean, there's one that's a solo game. I can't remember the game. There's another that's more of a trad RPG, but like being a trucker in like a post-apocalyptic or like Silent Hill kind of like landscape. And so, but those are very small indie things that I don't think have gotten wide releases. So, but yeah, something to think about. But anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for hanging out, or if you're listening later on. I'll put this up on the RSS feed soon, and but well, stay tuned. We're almost done with season 3. Yay!
It's only been what, 2 years?
It's been really fun. It's been very fun. I think we've kept up a good release pace.
Yeah,
it's also going to be kind of nice to be finished.
Yeah,
for a bit.
Well, and then season 4. We'll do some video stuff. It'll be great. Yeah. So, anyways, thank you all
that's
so
what
much.
everyone wants to see.
Pivot the video.
We'll talk about it. It'll be classy, Greg. All right, it'll be great. Yeah. All right.
We're gonna use AI to replace your face with.
No,
Emily
I said
Blunt's.
classy, Greg. We're not gonna have any slop. Not in this. Yeah. It's spoke.
We're all being replaced with Muppets.
Yeah. See, there we go.
Oh my God.
We could.
That would be
Yeah.
too
Let's.
cool.
Yeah. We'll do that. We gotta deal with the Henson studio. All right. We'll talk to you.